Just in time for Christmas, SmallRig's sent me their latest cage for the FX30. And if you're going to use the FX30 as a cinema camera, as Sony's touting it, you're going to use it for videography work, basically anything where you're going to mount things onto this camera, such as a cage, any kind of transmitter, accessory. If you're going to mount it on the camera, it's very nice to have a cage to be able to do it, because when you have a cage like the SmallRig, you get things like Nato rails here on the top of the camera, on the side of the camera, and you also have an Arca Swiss quick release plate here on the bottom. Not only does the Arca Swiss work with Arca Swiss tripods, but it also works with the DJI RS2. It's really nice that you can just use this cage and slide it right into the RS2, and it's something that I've been using on SmallRig's R7 cage as well with the DJI RS2. So as far as features of this cage, the top NATO rail is optional, and then there's also a bunch of 1/4-inch mounting points on the sides and the top of the camera. There's an RE locating pin on the top of the camera on the NATO rail. You have a cold shoe here on the top left of the camera, and it's also kind of necessary if you're going to be using this top NATO rail, as it does cover the smart hot shoe that's on the top of the FX30. Right in front of the cold shoe, you have this accessory mount. I've seen some people use it for 15mm rods, and it comes in handy if you're not going to want to run a full rod setup and you're going to do something like using a follow focus and you just want to run that follow focus to your lens. As long as it's not super long, you can attach these to the camera. I'd show you, I'm actually using a similar system on my R7 cage right now. SmallRig did include an HDMI lock, so if you're using the HDMI out a lot and you want to lock it in here to make sure that it can't just get ripped out or cause any damage, it's really cool. I don't leave it on the camera because it does add some bulk right here, so it's not something I bring with me all the time, but it's nice to have it in a pinch if you're live streaming or just want to have it for safety. So pardon my deeper voice this week. I'm recovering from the flu, so my voice is a little bit raspier than normal. On the bottom of the cage, it has multiple mounting points as well as a 3/8-inch thread, and that's really good if you're trying to mount this on an actual tripod plate and use 2 mounting points instead of just 1/4-inch. It's definitely a more solid solution. The cage is fastened into 3 areas, all by 1/4-inch threads on the bottom and the 2 side 1/4-inch threads right here. The included flathead screwdriver can be used to screw and unscrew the camera out of the cage, so it's really nice that SmallRig included that and made it as nice and compact as it is. So I did speak about how this top NATO rail right here is removable and it is separate from the cage. Part of the reason I think SmallRig did that is because some of you, if you're going to be using this cage, may be using the XLR mount, and obviously using this NATO rail covers the XLR mount and also covers the smart hot shoe. So by removing it, you can use that and you just lose this NATO rail functionality, which isn't the end of the world if you need the XLRs. SmallRig did a really good job with this cage, designing it, making sure that it doesn't cover any of the buttons, doesn't hinder the flip screen in any way, so it was really well designed. I also like how the grip on the right side kind of blends into the grip of the camera, gives you a little bit more of a beefy feel, which I do like. Now, my only complaint about this cage, and it's very superficial, and it's why I leave it to the end to talk about this. You can see on the cage itself, it does look a bit used, and you'd think that I've had this cage for a while. And it's really the design style that SmallRig went for this specific FX30 cage, and I haven't seen them do it before, where the cage looks like it's almost a battle-tested cage that it's been used for a while. This is how the cage comes. Your cage isn't defective if you have a cage that looks worn. It's just part of the way they did this cage. If I was to say one thing to SmallRig, I think you guys should have had some kind of description letting people know what this style choice was and that it is intentional. Now, me personally, the used look of the cage doesn't really affect my use of the cage. I mean, this cage does everything I need it to. It's just one of those things that I noticed and didn't say anything when I first got the cage. But then online, when I saw how so many people were commenting on it, I realized it was going to be an issue, and so I figured I'd touch on it for this video, just so you would all know that your cage is not defective. It's just the style and look choice that SmallRig went with this cage. The overall design of this cage from SmallRig was really well thought out, so I do think they did a really good job on it. If you have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments below, and if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos from the channel. Till next time, my name's Geoff Fagien. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.